Good afternoon, music fans. It is Tuesday, May the 19th, and it's time for the letter D. It's honestly one that I'm sort of looking forward to because a couple of my favorite bands can be found in here, so let's jump right in. First one, Derek and the Dominoes. Briefly discussed Cream yesterday and talking about Eric Clapton's influence, especially in supergroups. This is definitely another one. You can go through the list of guys that are in Derek and the Dominoes. You've got Eric, of course, Bobby Whitlock, Jim Gordon, Carl Rattle, and Duran Allman, who obviously a couple of bigger names in this one. Layla, the big hit off of this one. My quick story time is a friend of mine, Jay Moon, back from our Stratford days. I remember discussing this song with him back when him and I both were younger and thinner and probably both had full heads of hair. And I remember asking him about his opinion of the song, and Layla's very much distinct in that it's two distinct parts. The opening rocking part and the second half that's a slower ballady type. And I remember Jay saying that the more you listen to it, the more you like the second half, and it's definitely factual that I find that I enjoy the second half of Layla now more than I did when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, discovering Eric Clapton and Derek and the Dominoes. Next up is The Doors. When I was in my early teens and starting to discover all the great music that existed around there, one of the bands I first got into in a classic rock nature was The Doors. So as a result, I've picked up a few here and there. I've got a few that'll come up in sort of my new release section when we get around to that later, but I've done pretty well with a couple of digs in the bins. Live album. Weird Scenes Inside the Gold Mine, which at the time I thought was a bit of a unique find, but it tends to be one that I seem to stumble on all the time. But perhaps the more unique ones that I have are this one, which is Full Circle, and this one, which is Other Voices. Of note, these were done after Jim Morrison's passing, so they are just a trio. They're not great. There's a couple of fun songs, but thankfully that was the end of the road for the Doors. But what I really wanted to get into was Duran Duran. Now, Duran Duran was my first band. I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old when I first heard of, learned of, dug into, fell in love with Duran Duran. They would probably be the top artist on my list of bands that I need to see in concert. Need to do that soon, too. So, Seven and the Ragged Tiger, this is actually the copy that is my first album. This is the very first Rob Brown, owned it, bought it with my own allowance birthday money. This is it. And still holds a special place in my heart. We'll pull it out every once in a while. Beyond that, Rio and Arena. Arena noticeably because it was a live album and was a little fun for that one. So that's D's for Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow with E. I felt at first I might have a bit of a hard time filling in E, but I have a lot of E and it's primarily one band, so we'll dig into that tomorrow. So have a great Tuesday. Bye, everyone.